They're watching you. More than 4,000 satellites circle the Earth. Every day, they uncover new mysterious phenomena that defy explanation. A paranormal eye in the swamp.
Something really odd is going on in this area. It's straight out of the Twilight Zone.
Strange creatures among the terror stones.
It looks like a fortress of fangs.
And a trip to hell with the goddess of love.
By the time she gets down there, she's completely naked, stripped of all of her power.
Baffling phenomena, mysteries from space. What on earth are they? A Worldview satellite passing over Argentina captures a disk sliced into the Earth. And inside it, a second disk.
Good grief. This is unusual. It's a nearly circular island within a nearly circular lake.
It's almost as if some type of like an eye is looking up at you. Who knows what could be underneath?
I can imagine how some people would think that this would be a portal to another world.
The eye first comes to the attention of film director Sergio Newspiller, hunting for a horror movie location in an area rife with reports of paranormal activity.
We were investigating some stories related to supernatural things like UFOs, mysterious lights floating in the air, ghosts.
The reports of paranormal events are all located in one area of swampland. When Newspiller studies satellite images of the swamp, this is what he finds.
Right in the middle of all of these different strange reports is the eye.
We found that all those things were connected by the eye itself because it's exactly in the center where all those stories occur.
The eye is carved into a remote, uninhabited island in the swamp. The terrain is inhospitable, the site difficult to reach.
This whole area is surrounded by swampy marshland and treacherous canals, overgrown river inlets. Nobody lives here. Nobody wants to live here.
Scientists are divided on how something like this can come to exist.
I don't immediately suppose that this is something created by human beings. I wonder, could this be formed through a natural process as a natural phenomenon?
Image analyst Amanda Marchetti is among those who disagree.
A perfect circle in a giant swamp? That doesn't make any sense. There's no way that it could not have been created without human engineering. So it begs the question, what's the purpose and how did they do it?
Although there's no human settlement here, Newspiller learns there's a history of military activity in the region.
We were told that this place was where Argentinian army tried some weapons in the 60s, and then the US Army worked in this place, testing things.
Military testing can create strange features in the landscape, but nothing like this.
For his movie, Newspiller wants to find out more about the paranormal eye and the reports of weird happenings around it. He decides to head to the remote site to investigate.
No one can explain why it had been created, and that's why we investigate this place.
The eye is in the middle of hundreds of square miles of swampland.
This place isn't just remote. It's well defended by natural hazards.
This place is treacherous. There are alligators, vicious bugs. This is not going to be easy.
Newspiller must pick out a route through a winding labyrinth of streams and rivers, swollen by recent heavy rains.
The main river is high, so everything will start floating up in a couple of minutes. This is a problem because of snakes. Snakes will have their nests flooded, and probably they will be in our path.
A few hours into the journey, Newspiller enters an area locals call the Ghost Zone. This is where the stories of paranormal events begin. One centers on the disappearance of a young child.
Fishermen say that when they attempt to fish in this area, they still can hear the crying of the baby.
Something really odd is going on in this area. It's straight out of the Twilight Zone.
As they push deeper into the ghost zone, the river narrows.
Whoa. We need to go very slow to avoid the big damage to the boat or to the propeller, which is almost touching the bottom of the river. What we might find here, it's alligators, so we need to take care about it.
It's not long before Newspiller is confronted by a baffling sight. A graveyard of rusting, abandoned ships.
No hay ningún camino, no hay acceso. Desarmar el barco. Mira lo que es el motor ese.
The size of the vessels puzzles Newspiller.
It's absolutely impossible to navigate these waters with such a big boat. It's a real mystery how these big boats arrive here and why, especially why.
Some of these boats are over 30 feet long, but the river is super twisty and narrow, so it's hard to imagine how these long boats got down such a twisty river.
The ship graveyard suggests forces continually shift the waterways around the eye.
The water channels in this swamp are constantly changing, which begs the question, how is this eye able to keep its near perfect circular shape?
Several miles downriver, they're now close to the paranormal eye. But the narrowing waterway becomes thick with grass and silt, making it impassable. They are forced to abandon their boat and proceed on foot.
We are entering the island. This is the island containing the eye.
In the dense vegetation, it's tough to know where they are. They rely on cross-referencing the satellite image with GPS.
Look at this. You can see all this is water and everything is covered by plants.
Seen from above, this area has the appearance of firm ground. But Newspiller discovers the swamp can easily swallow you up.
Yeah, you have to pay attention. What might happen is that while we walk over the swamp, we may fall.
Eventually, they come face to face with what they saw on the satellite image.
Very good. We are in the border. Here you can see the eye itself.
Checking their GPS, they notice something perplexing.
It's in the opposite side, so it clearly changed from one shore to the other. It's exactly 180 degrees in the opposite side.
The mystery deepens. The eye seems to move.
Why is the island within the lake moving around?
Coming up, freaks in the stone forest.
They're covered in long hair and with red eyes. And they have supernatural powers.
And deep in the haunted swamp, what mystery force is controlling the eye?
I can actually watch it move as if it's following a pattern around the lake.
Horror film director Sergio Newspiller is investigating reports of paranormal activity around a mysterious eye deep in an Argentinian swamp.
As you can see, it's a perfect formation.
He has finally reached the eye-shaped piece of swamp. He discovers that it's moving.
It's very weird how this island moves.
Satellite image analysis confirms Newspiller's discovery.
As I go through the historical imagery, I can actually watch it move as if it's following a pattern around the lake.
The historical images show the eye has been here and moving for 20 years.
Every day, the island was in a different position. I believe there's something that's actually pulling the island around the lake.
Newspiller climbs onto the eye to investigate.
Look at this shape. It looks for real that someone is cutting it. It's like it's floating. Look at this, the carpet. It's like a carpet.
The eye appears to be a floating disc covered in vegetation. Newspiller looks for clues as to how it was formed.
We are trying to go there, use a small underwater camera, and see if we can have some pictures. We are also trying to see if there's something human-built or something.
Newspiller can find no evidence that the eye is man-made. But if it's natural, why is it so symmetrical? And why does it float?
As we walk, there are bubbles coming from the bottom. It's methane gas.
Methane gas is produced by decomposing organic material and is lighter than air.
Part of this gas might be one of the things that helps this island to float.
Floating islands do exist elsewhere in South America.
We do know that up in Peru, in Lake Titicaca, there are these unique structures created by the Yuru people. They're actually reeds that are woven together to form islands, and people will actually live on these floating islands in the middle of the lake.
But there's a big difference between the islands in Peru and the eye in the middle of the swamp.
These floating islands in Peru require regular maintenance so that they can keep their shape, because it will deteriorate over time. But this formation in Argentina, there's really nobody around, so how would it keep its shape over time?
Newspiller notices something strange about the water.
It's cold. Very cold compared to the water around it.
The water around the eye, it's very cold and very clear. That's totally different from the surrounding swampy water. What could cause that?
Some experts suggest that the cold water might indicate that something is coming up from beneath the earth, perhaps from some subterranean lake, creating currents that form the eye.
It's not stagnant water. It's not water that is accumulating sediment and building vegetation and infilling the lake. It's water that's on the move.
But this doesn't look to Newspiller like water that's moving.
As you can see here, there are no currents. The water is very, very calm. So the theory about water currents moving the island and making it turn is not possible.
Newspiller can find no satisfactory explanation for the eye or the reports of paranormal events around it.
All this data is invaluable, but it's going to take many more trips out to the island to determine the truth behind this mystery.
One thing is for sure, the eye makes a great setting for a horror movie.
Each time we get some questions, answers, we discover new things we can't explain. So this place really deserves much more investigation.